Back to Isaiah 53. Look at verse 7. He was on trial. He was in prison. Look at verse 9. I love this. They made his grave with the wicked. What did they do with crucified people in the first century when they died on the cross? They took them off the cross and they threw them in the garbage dump. Did you know that? You could not bury a crucified person. They were to be a public spectacle. Do you know the Romans did not take them down from the cross most often until they had started to decompose? Do you know how many people they crucified during the lifetime of Christ? The Romans crucified 30,000 people. Most of them were left on the cross until their bodies, you know how the bones and everything gradually fall apart because the muscle and everything has decayed. But in Jerusalem, they just did so many and they only had so many crosses, they just took them from the cross and threw them in the garbage dump. Look what this says. And he made his grave with the wicked. They wanted to put him on the trash heap, but with the rich at his death. See, they were planning to dump him in the dump. But God said, that's my plan is, this is 740 years before the event. God says, no. He's going to be with the rich at his death because he did no violence and no deceit was in his mouth. And Joseph of Arimathea, now it's curious who Joseph of Arimathea was, and if I had time I would tell you all about what Josephus said. Josephus said that Joseph of Arimathea was his relative and he was the second wealthiest man in all of Israel. That's why he could walk in before Pilate and say, I want that body. And Pilate looked at him and it was kind of like Elon Musk coming in. And you'd think twice. Do you know that the premier of China is having dinner with Elon Musk? Why would the premier of China have dinner with Elon Musk? Because he's the wealthiest person in the world, and you don't want to make enemies with the wealthiest person. Pilate was talking to Joseph of Arimathea because he was so rich. And God used that for Jesus to be buried in that tomb. But look at this. It pleased God to bruise him, to make his soul an offering for sin. That's the guilt offering. He shall see his days and prolong his days. That's his resurrection. But then, look, God starts talking. This is Isaiah talking until we get to verse 11. And see how I put that bracket up there? God speaks. In verse 11, God the Father says, by his knowledge, my righteous servant, that's Jesus, shall justify many. Now, look, not all. You catch that? Many. God knew that people were going to reject him. The Bible never teaches universalism. Never. The Bible never says that Jesus is going to save everybody. Jesus made an offering that was sufficient enough for everyone that would call on the name of the Lord. So everyone could be saved. But not everyone does. And so many are going to get justified. He will bear their iniquities and all the way through the end of this chapter.